All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Election Day as we continue our Studio C70 election interviews. We are very excited to have Farah Jimenez from the Philadelphia Education Fund, President and CEO. We're excited to hear how policymakers can put front and center college and career readiness for young people as they ask for our vote on Election Day. So thank you very much for being here.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Wonderful. And I apologize if my video is lagging for anyone who's watching this live. So just first, could you give us a background on the Philadelphia Education Fund?
Sure. The Philadelphia Education Fund was founded almost 40 years ago, and our primary reason for being is to ensure that Philadelphia's homegrown talent has an opportunity to realize their fullest potential. So we work with middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students to ensure that they have career exposure, college and career advising services, and the support that they need financially to not just attend, but complete their college journey.
Apologies. All right, well, that's great. So first question, let's launch into this. How can our electeds improve career awareness among young Pennsylvanians, new-time voters, people who are going to be voting soon, especially those from underserved communities?
So there are wonderful programs that exist. One of the ones that we offer is called Spark Philadelphia, and it is a program targeting middle grade students in the Philadelphia public schools and providing them with career exposure experiences. And it's one of the most rewarding things to participate in because you understand how deeply our corporate community as well as our nonprofit community want to ensure that young people are exposed to the diversity of careers that are out there. Increasingly, what we've encountered is that industry is really struggling to fill their talent pool, and they're asking nonprofits as well as government to think more about workforce development. How do we route more students into careers that are available in the Commonwealth? As we have those conversations, two things come to mind. One is that our elected officials should really be making sure that as part of that conversation, they're talking about college and career and post-secondary readiness. We often lean into workforce development exclusively as workforce training. But the reality is that most of the jobs in the Commonwealth are going to require some form of post-secondary preparation, and research conducted by Georgetown University Center on Education in the Workforce reinforces that. About 70% of the jobs in Philadelphia, for example, require college, require a graduate degree, or require some other kind of post-secondary credential. So this desire to really reduce the threshold for jobs is often communicating to our young people that they don't need to be prepared post-high school in order to access the fullness of opportunities. And in fact, the reality is that they do. So what I would encourage elected officials to do is to think about workforce development as inclusive of post-secondary preparation, make sure our young people know that they can go to college and get a post-secondary degree, know where to get the resources they need to access that, and recognize that if they choose not to go, there absolutely are other careers that they can pursue that are family sustaining and terrific career potential. But that young people need to know that that's a decision of intention, not of default, to not go to college. The other thing I want to just share is that the Commonwealth in the past has done some really wonderful programs through the Pennsylvania Department of Education that provide ways for teachers and students to have experiences with industry. So I would encourage more of that so that our educators are prepared to do more career-connected education. So our students understand when they're taking that algebra class that it can lead to a terrific career in architecture and engineering, that there are geometry is an essential skill, that chemistry, if you want to be in certain even trades, you need to understand chemistry, so that our young people see the relationship between what they're studying in the classroom and what they ultimately want to do.
Yeah, drawing that connection, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can policymakers ensure that education and training programs align with employer demands in the evolving job market?
Yeah. So I think that is increasingly something that industry is asking for. I want to focus on one of the ways in which I think the Commonwealth and our new governor is really trying to lean into that, answering that question, which is an examination of what are post-secondary institutions in the Commonwealth, how they're organized, and whether or not they're offering the right kind of complement of courses that align to what employment opportunities are in those communities. So one of the things that's come through that examination is a recognition that because we don't have a defined kind of statewide post-secondary system like a University of California or California state system, we are in Commonwealth independently affiliated universities that align under kind of an educational relationship, but they're not necessarily all kind of top-down directed. And what that means is there have been some gaps, and in certain communities, one of the things that the governor's office, the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the governor's office and policy have identified is that we have communities in the Commonwealth where to get that career job, you just need a 2-year associate's degree, but there aren't any 2-year associate degree programs in those communities. So how do we make sure we're aligning the educational offerings so that people don't have to be overeducated to access opportunities, or that people are provided with the right level of education to match the opportunities in those communities? This is now a new environment where I think elected officials and our administrative leaders, administrative agency leaders need to be having more conversations with industry to make sure that what we're offering allows our students to access as full a range of possibilities, so that they can be employed by our local companies.
So what I'm hearing you say is that collaboration between government, businesses, educational institutions, it's all crucial and essential. So as voters go to the polls today, and how can policymakers, the people that they're going to vote for, foster those stronger partnerships to help address workforce development needs?
Yeah. So it's been very exciting to see that there's more attempts at partnerships over the last couple of years. Recently, the city of Philadelphia received a major investment from the federal government for a Good Jobs Challenge, which is looking at how does the industry, public sector, social sector come together to prepare more individuals for career in life sciences, for example, which is a burgeoning industry in the Southeast and has incredible long-term career opportunities for young people and adults. But we also have started as our organization, we're just one example of some nonprofits that are doing this collective work, have organized collective impact strategies. So the ones that we have are one called the Philadelphia STEM Ecosystem. We have a partnership with GSK for 10 years on the STEM Equity Collective. And then we also do a college access and success ecosystem in a partnership with the School District of Philadelphia. Those are just examples of tables that individuals, private leaders, private industry leaders, nonprofits, as well as elected officials and government representatives can sit at tables together and try and foster solutions so that we can figure out how, by working together, we can actually drive results for students and for our community around increasing STEM education, increasing access to STEM careers, and also more access to college and career readiness. So as long as there's an openness, and I have to say, I'm seeing increasingly this understanding that none of us can do this alone.
Right.
And if I'm correct, I think that's probably the mantra of our new mayor, Maria Sherrill Parker, that none of this can be done alone. I think the more that we're willing to communicate that and open our arms to the possibility that others have good ideas, and if we sit together, we can solve for those. Those are the kinds of elected official I hope we're looking to elect and put into positions of leadership and power, because that's the spirit that's going to lead the Commonwealth forward.
Absolutely. Wonderful. That's great. So what policy recommendations, do you have any policy recommendations for Pennsylvania officials to help address some of these challenges? And is there any way we can ensure effective implementation with those?
So I don't know if I have so much policy recommendations, is just kind of making sure that as you're making decisions around budget priorities,
Mm,
that the focus is on what outcomes result are you seeking to purchase. There is a tendency, I think, amongst all of us, including elected officials, to focus on the input. So in other words, we want to solve a big problem like gun violence, and we put together a program that could potentially lead to a result in the reduction of gun violence, or may sometimes just make us feel good as if we're trying to do something that will reduce gun violence. And there's often an unwillingness to hold ourselves accountable to whether or not the investment delivered the result. I think the more that we become, we hold ourselves accountable to whether an investment is delivering result, learning from whether or not it delivered that result and making some adjustments, the closer we are going to get to tackling some of our problems. So I think the main recommendation I would make to our elected officials as they're deciding where to make investments, ask yourself the question, will it really drive the result that you intended?
mhm.
And are you willing to hold yourself accountable to look at the investment and ask later, did it actually drive that result? It's hard work to do it that way because it can feel very satisfying to just send it off in a multiplicity of directions. But it's ultimately you're stewarding all of our dollars. And what you want is to make sure that as we steward those dollars, you're getting something in return that really benefits the citizens of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, thinking about results and accountability and not just sponsoring a bill or whatever it might be. Wonderful. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that I think it's important for Pennsylvanians to remember today, election day? Things that,
Yeah, so the only thing I would add to that is if we can, all of us, make sure that we're communicating to young people that Commonwealth of Pennsylvania offers a lot of incredible opportunities for them and for careers. We have great post-secondary institutions, and there are a lot of supports out there for them if they're interested in going to college or pursuing STEM careers. If I could offer one plug, I would encourage young people and those who care about young people to direct them to an online resource that we operate, which is called www.phillygoes2college.org, and two is the number two. So phillygoes2college.org. It's a great resource for anybody who is interested in going to college, from middle graders to the adult learner, provides them with a range of resources, free resources, as well as awareness of scholarship programs and events that are being hosted. So I would encourage individuals who care about this and have people in their lives who they're encouraging and supporting to visit that site.
wonderful. I wrote that down. We'll drop it in the comments. Philly goes to college.org. Two number spelled out. So
Thank you so much for that.
yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, thank you very much. Really, really appreciate your time today. I'm sure you're quite busy, so really appreciate the work that you all do, and keep it up.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Justin. Appreciate the work you do too.